97.9 TRT Rocks. Say it's Jana, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Dustin Bates from Starset. Thank you for talking with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we've been playing Monster from your new album, Vessels, which came out in January, the follow-up to Transmissions. I definitely want to talk about the new album. But first, so Transmissions kind of introduced us all to the Starset Society. For anyone who doesn't know, is there sort of like a crash course, a little, what you can give us to help people understand a little bit more?
Yeah, actually, we'll be giving people a lot more in the coming 4 or 6 weeks that will help to really make it clear. But it's a group that's looking at technology and science and how it's affecting our world presently, socially, economically, politically, even philosophically, and how it might affect our lives in the near future as well, both positively and possibly negatively.
Got it. So we can expect that these themes are explored in the new album, Vessels. What makes the new album different from Transmissions, from the first album?
Yeah, both records are essentially soundtracks to narratives that live in the world of Starset, and Vessels is essentially a different movie, so the soundtrack is different, and so there are sonic differences in Transmissions, but then there are also a lot of similarities, and you know, even though I guess they could be considered concept records, we're very careful to make it. If you just want to passively listen, like you would any other rock album, we try to write it so that, you know, it's not overly laden with nerd things. It's hopefully appreciable to everyone.
Did you say hopefully it's not laden with too much nerd things?
Yes, exactly.
Got it. If people want to nerd out, they can. But if they want to rock out, they also can do that.
That's the goal. Yep.
Got it. I did see that you, though, you are a PhD candidate in electrical engineering, and you also worked with the Air Force. So can you tell me about a little bit more about those things that you did?
Yeah. So the Air Force, it was various projects while working on my master's degree and then PhD. In fact, one of the things is what really, I guess, inspired a lot of my work with Starset. Working on persistent surveillance. You have a drone in the air in a war zone flying over an area and taking consistent and constant video footage. And if something were to happen, you can click on a point of interest and rewind essentially in time because the drone has been there the entire time. And if an object of interest appears, you can then follow that back to its source as you rewind time. And you can essentially, you know, you can imagine the implications in warfare and how great that is. But then, inevitably, there are people that want to bring this domestically. So you can imagine the slippery slope that arises there when, you know, you can police amazingly with a system like this, but there's also a lot of room for manipulation, and it's pretty, I guess, creepy when you think about it. In the Starset Society, that's just one technology. As you extrapolate into the near future with it, and you begin to see the double-edged side of it, where it's both positive and negative. And our group just believes in technology, but wants a higher level of public awareness so that we can avoid being manipulated.
I can understand that. Well, there are so many great things about technology. There are things to question as well. So in reading about your new album, Vessels, I read that it's kind of divided into 4 different dangerous visions. Is technology one of those visions, or is it more of an overarching theme throughout the album?
There's, you know, the overarching aspect of Vessels, I see it as a journey, and there are a lot of dichotomies built into it, and, you know, the various themes, and even in the sonics where it's very heavy and dark, then there are also very human and light elements to it. I just wanted to build a large journey, and yeah, it has its dark dystopian moments.
So if the album is kind of like a journey, where in that journey would Monster fall?
I guess somewhere in later Act 2, if there were 3 acts like a play or a movie, and it's sort of post-transformation. I see it as just before that in the record, there's sort of an inescapable descent into darkness, and Monster is the acknowledgement of that becoming something you probably didn't want to become, and becoming aware of it, and maybe overcoming it.
Yeah, I think that we can all relate to that. There's times in our lives when we become people that we never thought we would. Going back to, when you were a kid in your childhood, were these the kind of questions that you were asking then? Were you super interested in space, in sci-fi? Were there certain movies that piqued your interest?
My love for things like this started from a more scientific place. I think the real passion began maybe when I was in 5th grade and didn't have a ton of friends, and a lot of my time was spent at the library like a true, nerd to be would. And I read just a ton of biographies from famous scientists and inventors. And I decided then that I wanted to try to be a part of something larger than life, and maybe even I wanted to be a scientist for a while. And I always had a passion for that and space in general, like most kids do, but mine just continued to develop. And then in tandem with that became a huge passion, or almost even obsession, of rock that happened soon after. And so both of those things carried into the future and only became more exacerbated, I guess. So yeah, here I am.
Got it. So that's a pretty neat thing, though, that it kind of came about at the same time, like a perfect storm of loving science and being curious and being super interested, and then also music, and you meshed it.
Inevitably, yeah. It's cool. I really hope to use the platform and continue to build this, because I really do. There aren't a lot of advocates of science, and especially technology and futurism, and I'm really excited about it.
Very cool. So we talked about the things that you were kind of into as a kid. Were comic books, were graphic novels part of it? Because I see that Starset is in collaboration with Marvel, and you're starting to work on a graphic novel about the Starset Society.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. That's such an exclusive thing. I mean, Marvel doesn't team up with people like this, so we're really excited that they're behind it. And I guess I've always been more into the actual science of things. I had some, but I was sort of a pedestrian fan of comics, but I do love the medium and the ability it allows me and the Starset Society to push our narrative and our sort of outreach campaign.
Is there a timeline kind of in place for when we'd be able to see the graphic novel?
Yeah, it's looking like fall-ish.
Fallish? Okay.
Yeah.
When we first started talking, you said that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, more would be revealed about Starset.
Well, we've had various, websites and videos up for Starset Society, and it's been the general focus was upon automation for quite a while, and now it's much more broad and more open, and we're just a website here within a couple months that it will just be more interactive and show the multiple faceted aspects of Starset, between the science and the sci-fi, and Starset fits nicely into that. And Starset, with the band, we're creating a numerous actual music videos here that will take on science and sci-fi things and bring them into a interesting narrative. That's always a lot of fun for us.
Got it. So new music videos are in the works. Sounds like a kind of retooling of the website so that people are able to understand better, to connect better with you.
Yeah, and we see what we've always been pushing for. It's becoming even more important that people get our message as clear as possible.
And one way that people can do that is by coming to your demonstrations, right? You are going to be on tour here coming soon.
Yeah, got a lot of shows and festivals coming up, and the shows and the demonstrations, as we call them, as you rightfully said, thank you. They are we try to make them immersive, be able to escape, their lives and come into this ulterior reality, and we're always investing time and money into making it more awesome. I just sort of invented this thing called the cube that is more of a magic trick than anything, and we're always trying to expand that.
So the cube is coming with you on these demonstrations. To me, I'm picturing like a something large that you're inside. Is that about right?
Yeah, the drummer is actually inside of it, and there's a polymer on it that when voltage is applied, it becomes transparent, and otherwise it's totally opaque. And so we do projection mapping onto it of video, and so it's more of a crazy video wall when he's not drumming, and when he is drumming, he appears and it's pretty striking. You'd have to see it.
I was going to say it sounds really cool. And you actually have a show coming up here in Michigan, May 17th in Traverse City. So everyone get your tickets. Go see Starset. Check out this cool sounding cube. Dustin, thank you so much for talking with me. Everyone, too, got to get the new album, right? Everyone go check out Vessels.
Thanks a lot.